Thank you for joining me. I'm Kirsten Knudsen, and I'm here with Paul Scalzo with our weekly podcast. And today's topic is for sale by owner versus real estate agent. Selling your home means making dozens, if not hundreds, of decisions, starting with whether to work with a real estate agent or not. In your experience, Paul, why do you think people choose to list their home as a for sale by owner versus with an agent?
I think most of the time it's that they're going to save money. That's the first thing I think that comes through somebody's brain. And some people can save money, but it takes the right individual. I mean, it really does. Even myself, I don't think I could sell my own home. I like somebody else speaking to somebody and negotiating for me, because I tend to be kind of easy, I guess is the best way to put it. And in this market, I don't even know if anybody can sell it themselves, just because the market, the inflation we're seeing here, the price of the home, I mean, I don't even know how you get to a price without having somebody that knows the local market. So, but back to your question, I think most people would want to sell so they save money. That's what I would think.
And do you think they actually end up saving money?
Well, I think if you just look at the commission, if I was selling it myself, I do think there's a savings. I think the savings would be half, though, of what a normal fee would be. So let's say the real estate agents in this area charge 5 to 6%. I think part of the problem is when you sell yourself, you get, like, I guess I call it bargain hunters, or somebody that comes to you and let's say they're a fairly good negotiator, and they say, hey, you're saving the commission, so at least knock off the listing side. They may try for the whole thing, 6%, but at least knock off the 3%. So you would save, ideally, the 3%. The 3% fee. So 3% of $700,000 house would be $21,000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think the savings could be. However, that means they're negotiating for themselves. So I guess my first point would be, how well do people negotiate? And there are statistics on this, and the statistics are almost unbelievable. But they say that if somebody sells the home themselves versus selling the home with somebody that knows how to negotiate, the difference is the spread is 10%.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite, in fact, it's alarmingly big. I thought almost 10% was too high. It was hard for me to figure that because of appraisals, but that's what they say. So, if it's a $500,000 house, I mean, the difference could be $50,000. But even if it isn't 10% based on what I read, let's say it's even 5%. That pays for the ease of somebody going through. 5% is easy. 5 to 6%, I see that happening with some of our agents every day that really are good negotiators.
Okay. Yeah. So in the end, it's really not worth it to list it yourself.
I if it's the right individual and they're very far in between, then I think that person, but most people, 90% of the people can. And I can go through a bunch of reasons why, as that you may want to. Well, first of all, you might want to, let's say you were selling yourself, have an agent in, figure out what the pricing is. The agent's going to know the local market. It's going to know what things should be. And you'd probably get, a market analysis, and the market analysis would say, hey, you need to put your house in the market for $575,000, $600,000. I mean, in this market, it could get bid up, which is the next problem you have. You have to be there. So if I'm trying to sell my house myself and I'm working, and people think for some reason that just because somebody can't go at the time they want to go, that they're going to go the next day. And I have this theory, like if I have 5 appointments and it snows and they aren't able to come because of the snowstorm, you've lost those 5 people. They're never coming back. It's just the way it works. So the first thing is timing, but timing also has to do with marketing. So if I'm selling it myself, I got to somehow dig out a sign. So I got to call somebody to get a sign. Then how do you get it on the Zillow, Trulia, MLS, and all these different venues? And that's just a button. And you don't want to be without all of them because you want the most exposure you can get. So you're going to lose the MLS right away.
Right, which is huge.
Yeah, but you can get Zillow. So let's say you get half of the full 100% of the people. Zillow does a great job. Then the problem is, if you want me to keep running my roll here?
Please, yeah.
Okay. So what happens if you have multiple offers? How do you negotiate that? We know how to do that. We're experts at negotiating multiple offers. Most people would.
Most people wouldn't be able to do it.
I know. So if you were selling yourself, you think about it. Once you gave your word to somebody, you'd probably feel obligated, even though it could be bid up in this market, $30,000-$40,000 on a $600,000 house, easy.
So most people think they can do it, but they don't realize the work that really goes into it.
Yeah, you have to have, on multiple offers, you actually have to have a policy how you're going to do it. And maybe we could do that in a different podcast. Multiple offers is an interesting thing, but you want everybody to be treated fairly, and you want the highest and best offer. And unless you know how to do that with multiple offers, you won't get it done. I see it happen all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's a good idea to hire a professional.
Well, let me go through a couple of the things that I was thinking about while we were sitting here. So besides your time and the marketing and everything else that you're doing with the pricing, it's a legal transaction. So because it's a legal transaction, you have to have the forms. You have to know what I'm going to say is a real estate attorney, the right attorney. It'd be great to have a relationship with a real estate attorney. If you don't have a relationship with a real estate attorney, if you get the wrong attorney in Connecticut, we're not a title state. We're a state where we use attorneys on each side. Unless you get people that know the real estate process, I see it blow up all the time. In fact, I always ask who the attorneys are when we get an offer on some of our own personal stuff. And if it's an attorney, let's say that's a litigator, and they don't understand real estate, I'm just not interested.
Sure.
I mean, you've probably seen this. And then you have to have the forms and the disclosures.
Right.
There's certain disclosures, if you don't have them in the state of Connecticut, you have an issue.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, I think I read somewhere that people that do list as for sale by owner in the end, only 11% actually go through and sell the house as the owner. They end up hiring a professional.
And they probably get more money.
Yes.
But they try it themselves. And I'm telling you, it takes the perfect individual to sell their own real estate.
Right.
And I think they're very far in between. So here's some of the mistakes. I kind of wrote down the mistakes that people make.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so if they list too high, they got a problem.
Sure.
Even if they find a buyer, they're not going to get an appraisal. Most people are going to get a mortgage. So I've seen this happen multiple times. Then you have an issue. Most properties need to be staged property if you want the highest value. So every real estate company has a stager. It amazes me when people go to sell the house, they think they have the nicest house and things look well. It just drives me crazy. Things never look well.
Are you trying to tell me you don't like my decorating?
Well, I haven't really seen your decorating, but it's probably, we would have a different view. Less is more,
Sure.
A lot of light, new light bulbs. The little things have to be cleaned. Like the people, the way they look at it is if your closet is organized, the rest of your life is organized. If your hot water heater is organized and not a mess downstairs, then the rest of your life is organized. Therefore, they're getting a house that's been well maintained.
Sure.
Definitely don't know how to negotiate. We actually have seminars to do with negotiation, and that's worth 6 to 10% in a transaction right there. So,
I'm sure.
Unless they know how to negotiate. And you can't really negotiate unless you know the local market, because you can use the local market against it.
Right.
Because they're going to say, well, this house sold for this much because they've looked it up, but it's not going to be what.
Right. And I'm sure most people haven't even negotiated anything before, let alone know the right price.
Right. And, if you think about it, most buyers call a real estate agent to find out what's available. So if I put my house on the market myself, the first thing I have to do is have a fee for a buyer's agent. And a lot of people that they don't understand that they're not paying a real estate commission. When people call them, they lose the market. They lose half the market. And I think the last thing that I was thinking is when people want to buy real estate, all of a sudden they believe they're the most important person in the world because I'm going to be spending $500,000 on the house. I'm the most important person. So the pride sets in. So when I call you, Kirsten, and you say to me, I'm not going to be home, you're going to say, well, I want to see the house at 2:15. And you say, well, I'm working. Can you do it at 6? A lot of people, maybe they'll call at 6, but the follow-up isn't there. You have to be available 24/7 in this business.
You do. Yeah. Or you'll lose the sale.
Yeah. So if I got a call right now, I would stop this podcast, talk to the person because it's more important don't get me wrong, but it's more important than the podcast. And so we instruct everybody, especially when things come through the web, really got to call back in 30 to 60 seconds, 3 minutes, or people are on to the next thing.
Right,
on the
you've
web.
that very short window.
Yep. So anyhow, that's my idea of why I think we provide a valuable service. And if you think about it, why hasn't the web taking over real estate? It just hasn't happened nationwide. The real estate companies are doing very well. Now, certain people, don't get me wrong, certain people are capable of doing it themselves.
Oh,
But-
sure. Just depends on their experience in life and
Yep.
work history, etc.
Yeah, and those people, they should do it on themselves, but they're far and few between.
Very far and few
I don't
between.
think I could price my house right now. I'd have to go do an analysis and come back. Things are changing daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The market is very tricky today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for picking the topic. It was a great topic because I think it's an important one. And I look forward to our editor, Justin, editing this and putting it on our website.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see it.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Kirsten.
coming on this week.
Okay.